Gabatrix, The First Piece by C. Med. Prologue. I once saw the darkness of the opening gate in my eyes. I admit that I thought I was going to die. I gathered my strength and leapt to see the light of the moon. Carry the faith and mankind will follow. Gabatrix, 2287 AD. It is far into the future. Humanity is losing a war. Earth is lost. Mars is at the brink, and its fleets are nearing complete destruction. Little is known about its attackers except for one word that they use to identify themselves: Itreans. 1 month ago, all of it would change with the destruction of an Itrean research vessel found in human-controlled space. A miracle had occurred. The vessel was mostly intact. Its damaged databanks are being rushed to be repaired and salvaged for humanity to learn about them. 5 days after December, a message beacon is launched to Sabravis. The Itreans wish to talk. Peace, the hope of peace. Humanity is desperate. Humanity is skeptical. An ancient warship is prepared to meet them. Chapter 1. December 8th, 2349. We return to space once again, the dark void of nothingness. It is cold and massive to all that see it. An ocean of black and white spectacles of light. The word defines itself perfectly for the name. We once looked at Jupiter. The planet is seemingly a distant speck despite how gigantic the planet is in the Sol system. With such a monstrosity, Jupiter should have been a star, but it wasn't. Instead, it holds its numerous moons in its cold iron grip, seemingly for an eternity. It is expected that even if the G-type star expanded to a red giant, Jupiter would remain. One day, the planet would look up to see the sun as it consumes Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Perhaps in its infancy, the Sol system had more planets that revolved around it. But the star is hungry. It keeps expanding as it gets bigger and bigger, but only so slowly. Year by year, the star gets bigger. Mercury is the first to see it. Billions of years are needed as the sun continues to expand. One by one, the planets will fall, and Jupiter will become the new Mercury of the Sol system. But that isn't today, and neither will it be tomorrow. Instead, we listen to the sounds of the solar system, the electromagnetic waves, and charged particles of the planets. They produce various sounds and melodies for all to hear if they listen. We know the sounds of Jupiter, for we have already heard it. Our attention was focused on this planet for a good reason. It was so large that it dominates the solar system. The moving gas and red spot continue for what seems like an eternity. That isn't what our attention is focused on. We are too far away from it now. The sounds grow more and more distant, and eventually we hear nothing. The planet has shrunk to nothing as we leave the planet for good. Jupiter is in good hands. It doesn't need us, and neither should we worry about him. Instead, we hear the sounds of something new. We travel further and further out into space, and the sounds we hear are that of a calm, ambient noise. It almost sounds like blowing wind. We turn our attention to the next greatest spectacle in the solar system. It is the planet that humanity had placed more focus in the outer Sol system once they expanded beyond its dying home. The planet comes closer and closer to us. Its light is so bright that it reflects almost 50% of the light of the sun that it receives. Occasionally, we get a deep harmonic hum from it. Eventually, the sounds are intense. The electromagnetic particles caused by its shape are deafening and frightening, and all for a good reason. It is Saturn that we look upon, the second largest planet in the Sol system. It is beautiful but scary for those that could hear it. It produces the sounds of a screeching demon. The reason is all too apparent because the rings are the cause of it. Saturn is far from the sun that it orbits, measuring over 1.4 billion kilometers away from it. Even with the speed of light, it would take an hour for the light to make it there. Humanity, in its attempt to evacuate its dying world, wouldn't have much hope of making it to here. Conventional drives would take years of travel. Thankfully, humanity would have their past heroes to make the process possible. Saturn might not have had the glory that Jupiter has, but it makes up in other ways. Seemingly, it was just another gas giant in the galaxy. It was not a beautiful planet at all, but it had one thing that captured the hearts and minds of the former people of Earth: the rings.